So there's a certain dish that originated in Bangalore, and it came about because of the fact that there wasn't enough rice to make a certain item, and as a result they used semolina, and as a result they created a dish. This was during World War One or Two. World War One. So which is this iconic dish that we consume, that came from a restaurant here in Bangalore. So this is MTR and the Rava Idli that they came about, because as such there was only an idli in the form of a rice, white colored idli. But because there was no rice at the time, they took Rava and made an idli out of it. And that's how the Rava Idli came about.
So another interesting story is how Krumbaigal, a famous botanist, contributed to this very interesting combination of bisequestral trees in Bangalore. So he planted trees in such a way in Bangalore that across the year, one side of the road used to have trees which used to flower, and on the other side, the other trees used to flower. So that the trees in Bangalore used to have flowers throughout the year. Both Sachin and I were Bangalore boys, passionate about quizzing. The quizzing bug hit both of us in, I think we were in 5th or 6th standard, and that continued through school and went to college, and that became, I should say, one arena through which we ended up learning so much, made us feel humble. It showed many different perspectives to the world, right? And in college, we started saying, hey, quizzing has given us so much. How can we use this tool to kind of, teach children? And that's when we started doing some pilots in Pune, while we were in law school. After college, we used to go and teach some children. And that is when the birth of the Quizshala program really took place. And we also realized that it was just not building their different perspectives. It was also enabling them for a safe space for learning many things that they learned as skills and so on. So in 2012, I passed out. Sachin passed out. Sachin was a year junior to me, and after that, we started in 2014 is when we quit our corporate jobs and started. So after that, I think Sachin can.
So I think in 2014 of August 1st is when we actually started off. We quit our jobs, and there was of course a good amount of convincing and telling parents that we wanted to make this decision. So that was rather interesting time, right? Because we had good, well-paying jobs as corporate lawyers. So for folks to suddenly hear that, okay, these boys aren't going to be pursuing what they studied for 5 years, I think that was quite an interesting time. But I think for parents, it wasn't like we were telling that we're going to become chefs or we're going to start to do something completely out of the blue. That they knew that we were good at quizzing, we were doing well at quizzing. And when we said that we wanted to kind of see how we can explore what our interest and passion was and try to build a business around that, I think there was some amount of time that between 2013, 2014, there was a lot of general conversations around that. But I think what we started doing immediately after we quit our jobs, we explored all avenues, right? Because at that time, and of course it continues to be, revenue was, or getting different avenues to be able to generate money was what was in our head. So there's a quizzing vertical that Walnut has had, and it's something that continues to grow, and I'll talk about that a little later. But the first thing that we did is we reached out to our alma mater. We went to 2 schools. Raghav, where he studied in a school called St. Paul's and Kumarans, and I went to a school called National Public School. So I went to the principal there, and of course they were very excited that these alumni were coming back and going to start something. We were very fortunate that they said yes, okay, go ahead and try out your program that you've cooked up. We called it Quizshala at the time, and the idea was just using quiz questions as a means to provide context, just kind of open a world to kids in terms of what's happening around in the world, and in the process look to see how skills can be built and things like that. So from that journey where we worked with 2 schools that then went to 15, then 20, 30, in the course of that evolution, I think what we decided was, and again it came from input from children and from parents as well, was that the word Quizshala I think was very, very specific in terms of what it meant. Like, it is about quizzing, but a lot of the experiences in the classroom were about a lot of communication, a lot of stories, a lot of learning, a lot of skill building in terms of other kind of things like communication, collaboration, all those kinds of things were happening. So we thought that the best sort of shift or marriage to kind of indicate that we're a lot more than just quizzing was that we just made quiz to Q, and the Q could stand for quest, it could stand for quizzing, it could stand for curiosity with a Q. Kids have come up with very interesting sort of, and we kind of asked the kids what they felt it meant. Some kids have said, "Sir, it feels like it stands for the word Q because you have a magnifying glass in your logo," and things like that. So that's really when we shifted to Q Shala, and what we used to deliver all these programs in schools. So we've been working with schools very, very closely, working with schools, working with principals, teachers. And we used to have two offerings. We, in fact, continue to have two offerings. One is during school hours and one is after school hours. So we focus on curriculum related matters as well. We focus on social sciences and sciences, two subjects that we're fond of, especially social sciences. Us coming from a humanities background, the big sentiment you hear from teachers and kids is that social sciences is a subject that they aren't very fond of, or that the teachers aren't able to kind of make it as interesting for children as they'd like. So we have a curriculum program running in schools, and then we have what was running after school, which is the skill program, right? Which was focused on building the kind of skills to prepare children for an ever-changing future. That was running after school. What we did, little fortunately, is that we shifted that online sometime end of last year, beginning of this year. So it again came through a school teacher. A school teacher was like, "Sachin, we really like your program. Can you come down to the school and conduct it?" But the school was really far off. It was beyond the airport, and travel in Bangalore and managing that dynamic wasn't making sense operationally for us. So when the school said, if you can do it online, that's when we kind of took on that opportunity. And I think honestly, we were quite skeptical. We weren't sure if our online delivery would be as effective as it would have been in terms of having a child in a classroom and engaging with them. But we spent a lot of time doing research, thinking of the kind of curriculum, the kind of experiences we need to build to make a child learn, especially when they're in front of a screen. And that's really been in terms of where we're at currently. We have live online classes that we conduct for kids, and of course there's a good uptick, if I might say, that we saw with the lockdown, because kids were at home, parents were at home, they needed something to engage their children with. So that kind of was one thing that we saw from April, May, June onwards. And yeah, that's really the kind of evolution that we've been at. I think it's a long-winded answer to a specific question.
So I think the one big challenge was we were primarily an offline company, and we knew that our vision was to reach out to as many children as possible and provide that meaningful experience. And we knew that technology had to be an enabler that we had to adopt. So one experiment we started off was we started sending WhatsApp messages to parents. So this could be cues for them to have conversations with their children. Right? And children would have studied something, and when parents have their conversations, etc. So that experiment happened for a long time on WhatsApp alone. And then we converted that into our app. And we said, learn something new every day. If we just focus on learning something new every day, that compounds over a period of time. So that was the first time technology aspect came in. And I think this is 2016-ish when we really started saying that we need to adopt technology in a big way. And I think that definitely is one of our most important focus areas as we move. So quite a few there are quite a few high points, there are quite a few low points. But high points were, they've always been with, the reinforcing of why we do what we do. So whenever, we do this thing with Government of Karnataka, and there's a Swachh Bharat quiz on hygiene and so on every district in Karnataka. It's a bilingual quiz, Kannada and English. And when we go to the corners of Karnataka and when there are children from places and they stay up all night to come to the quiz the next day morning to come to part of the quiz, etc. And when they come back and say they really enjoyed, they learned something new, etc. on their faces, that's extremely gratifying. So for us, the twinkle of the child's eyes and say, "Oh, I learned something new," that's the high point every time. And most of it will be variations of it, either in our classes or otherwise. Low points have been when when some of our team members we could not probably keep them as part of our team for a long time because we were at a different growth pace and they wanted to be somewhere else. So those have been a little disappointing. I think that is a larger low point that comes to mind if you ask me.
Yeah, I think high moments, I would say, are actually in the classroom. I think so you have a certain way of explaining something, or you might have thought that this would have been a good way to deliver or explain or create a certain experience, and then you aren't necessarily too happy with what you've done. But when you go back to class the next week and you have a child kind of narrate what they took away from it, and it's almost so perfect in terms of what you thought that those should be the outcomes that they should take from it. I think those moments in the classroom have been really where there's been a great high. It's been in private school classrooms. It's been even in government school classrooms as well. We do classes in government schools as well. And those kids, I think when you create an experience for them and you're able to engage with them, I think the appreciation that they show, the kind of love that they kind of give to you is just the purest sort of kind of appreciation you can get. In terms of lows, I think there are numerous, I would say. If I think my hair loss is testament, I would say, to some of that. But I think, when team members leave, when they believe that there's not a sync in terms of the kind of pace or whatever the objective is. So that's something that I've been reflecting on and kind of just very honestly, I think in hindsight, everything always you'd prefer that something were to be done a little differently. And so this is for both Raghav and me, we're first-time entrepreneurs, right? And we're actually also the first people in our families even exploring business as an endeavor in the sense that we are currently pursuing it. So if there was something I might have done differently, again, I can only say this in hindsight, but in that context at that time, I think it was very hard to do, was maybe have a little more focus on some of the areas that we wanted to focus on and have conviction in some of those moments when you didn't necessarily see results that you would have liked to see. But again, it's very easy for me to say that right now. And but yeah, that's probably the only one kind of sentiment I might say, but I wouldn't really change any of those things the way it's kind of panned out, because I believe that I think there's a certain education that we ourselves are going through as entrepreneurs, and there's a time and a place for the kind of learning that we get. And I think even if I say that, I wish this happened faster, this didn't go, I don't think it's that simple. I think it's a more complicated thing. But I would say focus and kind of having conviction on some of those things would be the things that I would have felt we could have done a little better. That's my sense.
Yeah, and I think Sachin put it well, because in fact, when I was thinking about that, probably it was about focus. Because when as a startup, you're also there is cash flow situation and there are so many other constraints that hit you. But just being able to focus on one thing, which is to say that how can I take the Qshala experience to more number of children, and that possibly could have also been us being able to take up some bets on technology even earlier, right? So those are some of the things that I feel that could be. But again, that there's a learning curve to that as well.
It's a great question. Entrepreneur.
Quizzer and entrepreneur is what I would say. There's been that shift also to say now you're looking at, hey, I need to grow into an entrepreneur, and that requires a different set of skill sets. So unlearning and relearning on that journey.
Can I share an example or an anecdote? Yeah. So there's this quiz in college that's a very big deal. It's called Tata Crucible. That it's a business quiz that's conducted. It's a very, very competitive quiz that you have kids in colleges from across the country and abroad as well. So I think for Raghav and me, that was a competition that we wanted to fare well at. We wanted to give our best shot for it, and I think it was quite a funny. I think in Raghav's final fourth year, was it? Raghav's fourth year and my third year. I think we were on a hot streak. We were winning quizzes across the country. The thing we would do is there was a portal called quizzing.in. The moment we saw an announcement for a quiz, we'd book a flight and just travel there, stay in some guest house the college will put us up in. Fortunately, win the quiz and then come back. So we were winning quizzes like one after the other, and there was like a very hot streak. But the one quiz that we floundered was this regional round for the Tata Crucible in Raghav's fourth year and my third year. Then the next year was when we actually won the national finals of the quiz. And at that year, it was exactly the opposite. I think every quiz that we were participating prior to Crucible, we'd be leading till the last round, and then just one question would just shift everything, and we'd be like third or second and things like that. So I think Crucible was something that really, for me and Raghav to work together as a team, I think that was the first time that, and this was back in 2008. So I've known my co-founder for 12 years, which is in itself is quite a funny thing. People at office refer to Raghav and me as work husbands.
There used to be this quiz which used to happen in our school, and the pressure of you performing in front of your school and you screw up, all of that really drove me to work as hard at those point in times, right? But also a few things, right? Like one is taking risks. When you're taking a buzzer question, you are half chance sure whether you know it. Like you have a simpling saying that it may be, and you really need to push your gut to get to click that. So taking those shots, those bets, that's one of those things, right? Like for me, quizzing really gave me that kind of this one to take those bets, right? Take those risky bets when it has to be. The second thing is also team dynamic, right? There have been a time when my team member, you need to give opportunity for the team member to fail as well, right? So there's a quiz where my team member went, 3 negatives in a row, and we were leading the quiz, right? But with all of that, we went on to win the quiz. It was his birthday also, and it had this.
This wasn't me, by the way.
This is before Sachin was Pranav, it was part of my school team member. So allowing for that. Similarly, he had to allow me to make those failures as well, right? Learning to say that, not to be in that straitjacket formulas and allowing for each other to make those mistakes. And in the team, you need that that empathy is strongly built through quizzing, right? The other one is problem solving to some extent, right? You kind of look at a question and you try to make connections. You're thinking in a systematic way constantly, right? So that is another thing that quizzing really gave us, right? And that fear of failure, also, you go through so many failures to actually get that success. You realize that that's the only way learning happens. So, I don't know, it's probably also built into us saying that, as Sachin was narrating, Tata Crucible happened in my 5th year and for him in his 4th year, and then he went on to win the international in the 5th year. But it took us 3 years of having to go up there and going to the finals and missing out again. So those also gave us the thing saying that, if you keep putting your head down and going after the direction constantly, you would ultimately reach the goal. Some sense of tenacity and.
Actually, I think going back to what you said, I think in terms of the ability to take a risk and to communicate. So the thing is, it's not very easy to communicate when there's like a split second of a question, and then so there are times when I remember that he would have hit the buzzer, and almost in that split second there would be an answer I'd give out, and or vice versa as well. And it's not like you said, hey, I'm going to hit the buzzer. There was none of this. It's almost like unspoken communication that happened. That's one learning. I think as is with any sport, right, or in this case, quizzing is a mind sport, I'd like to believe. I think there is the practice that one needs to, like in cricket, you kind of play your shots and the basics that you do. I think what we did for ourselves is we used to make questions. I think the one thing that we consistently kept doing is, if you want to get better at this, keep making questions, keep creating quiz questions. And that really was something that that kind of helped us. And the second thing is, I think when we entered this entire the corporate quizzing space or the business quizzing space, right? So the one thing we did is we started competing in quizzes where corporates also participated, and this is when we were back in college. So when we did that, we were out of our league completely, because these guys were veterans, these guys were well-traveled and 30, 40-year-olds, and we are like 21, 22-year-olds. But I think the fact that we went ahead and consistently tried or made an attempt to participate in these competitions, when we came back in the college circuit and then started competing, we were like winning by margins, right? So I think that was, again, all of these things you can take to any other sport in terms of team dynamics, in terms of risk taking and all of that. But that's really what I would say. I think, yeah.
it's taught me to see things, differently. They say that, a camera teaches you how to see without a camera.
Interesting.
Right? Like, I mean, like, it's kind of taught me how to see things where, like,